What's up, everyone? Giant Opinions here. So today I'm going to be recapping the 2020 SF Giants season. I'm going to be going over some positive things about the season and some negatives. So let's just get right into it. Now, the first thing, let's just start positive. The first thing is that our offense was overall pretty good this season. Now, it was a little bit inconsistent, but overall we were really good. We were fifth in the entire MLB in base hits with 532. And you look at the names on this Giants team, you wouldn't think that this would be like, if anything, you'd think our rotation would be better, but no. Our offense was a huge reason for why we won games. And we were sixth in RBIs with 290, so we were cashing in runs too. And if the past few seasons it has been hard for us to cash in runs, but we did it way more this season, and we only had four less than the Chicago White Sox. Yeah, that's crazy. But yeah, our offense overall, I thought it was very good this season, and the coaching staff did a wonderful job, especially the hitting coach. I'm gonna have to take a look at the coaching staff that Kapler put together, but I'm really impressed with them overall, honestly. Now the next thing, I'm just gonna go over some players. Donovan Solano, he didn't start the season, and I was a little bit confused. And then finally, Kapler made the decision to start him again at second base, and he was tearing it up in the first half of the season. He kind of slowed it down, and it might just be because of more publicity around his name. It might have gotten to him in his head, but overall, he was still very good. 326 average, 29 RBIs, huge reason for our success, and he won his games. He won his games, especially that walk-off against the Dodgers. That might be my favorite game of the season, honestly. And next, we got Michael Yastrzemski. Now, in the first half of the season, Yastrzemski was the NL MVP. I think it's pretty safe to say that. He was carrying our team so much. He was getting on base. He was doing it in the field, but he kind of slowed it down in the second half. He was striking out a lot more, and that is a little bit concerning. So hopefully, next season he can kind of strike out less and learn to be a little bit more patient, because his patience kind of disappeared as the season went on. So that is concerning. Other than that, a 297 batting average is very good overall, and he batted 284 against lefties. And if you watch Giants broadcast, you'd always hear they raved about his at-bats versus lefties, and he's good against lefties. That's where he's more disciplined, and that's where he draws walks. And it's why his on-base is 100 points higher. He ended with a 400 on-base percentage, which is very good too. Always a good sign, and he should be our starting center fielder / right fielder next season too, which is a good thing, and it shows that Yastrzemski was not a one-year wonder last season, which some people were possibly thinking, but he's not. And two other guys that really stood out to me are Brandon Belt and Alex Dickerson. Brandon Belt had a phenomenal season. His hard hit percentage on baseballs was really good, and it's a really good sign that the coaching staff is working with him on his swing, and it worked. It worked. You could definitely see that he was just having better at bats. Now Alex Dickerson had a great season too, almost batted 300. Had a lot of RBIs. His 3 home run game in Denver, he was clutch. He had a lot of hard hit balls too. He was struggling big time in the first half, but then the second half, it was clicking for him. And I'm excited for next year to have him still be in the lineup. I have to check his splits versus lefties, but he could honestly be a full-time starter in the outfield, or it could continue to platoon him with Darren Ruff, which is not a bad idea. Darren Ruff had a pretty solid season too, coming from the KBO. Now, my last kind of point right here, or actually it's not, but Gabe Kapler overall had a really good season with the Giants. I predicted this team to finish 22-38. We finished 29-31. Now, you could blame him for our collapse in the last week of the season, but other than that, he was really good. I mean, I had low expectations from him. He was struggling at the beginning of the season, but as the season went on, we saw a lot more better managing from him. He was not making boneheaded mistakes. He was not using bad relievers in bad situations. He was not pulling starters early, and I'm just really impressed with the players that we had on this team, that we were only one game under 500 in arguably one of the toughest divisions in baseball. I mean, we got the Slam Diego Padres and the Los Angeles Dodgers. Those aren't easy. And it's something you got to give him credit for. And hopefully he can build on it next season too. I'm really hoping, because so many people were against hiring Kapler. I said, let's give it some time. And we should still give it some time, but I'm pleased with his first year in San Francisco. Now, on to the negatives of the 2020 Giants season. Number one is the starting rotation. It was very disappointing. I did not like our rotation at all. They were good in the first half of the season, but in the second half, the rotation was not good at all. Kevin Gausman was the one good starter in my opinion. Cueto struggled big time in the second half. He'd have these innings of just awfulness where he'd give up like 4 or 5 and even 6 runs in an inning. It was really bad. It derailed the game, and it kind of took us out of the game in like the 4th inning. So it's not ideal at all. Tyler Anderson did okay, but overall he still had a 4.26 ERA. That's still not very good. And Logan Webb, he started so strong in the first half. I was really just eager to see if he could keep it up, but he didn't. Command was a big struggle of his. And the first inning was always the worst for him because he just couldn't find the zone. He'd give up leadoff walks, and then they just do damage on him. And hopefully the pitching staff can work him around next season and take a look back at these games and try and figure out what went wrong with Logan Webb. Because this guy is good stuff. His changeup is dirty. It's disgusting. But I'm really pleased with Kevin Gausman. Phenomenal signing. I kind of liked it when it happened too. People were like, "Why are you paying him $10 million a year?" This is why. He's good stuff. And our pitching staff just made it work. Or our pitching coaches, excuse me. Now the next negative is our bullpen, and this goes for the right-handed relievers in our bullpen. So that means Tyler Rogers and Sam Coonrod. Those were the two primary bullpen guys that did not really do good at all this season. Tyler Rogers, he had a good little September last year, but this year he was not that good at all. Whenever Kapler put him in, I got scared, and I got scared for a reason, because I don't trust him. And yes, he's a side armor, and he's a little funky with his delivery, but players can hit off him. He blew like 2 or 3 saves in the 9th inning and all that, and yeah, it was a little bit on Kapler, excuse me, because sometimes he'd put him in for back-to-back nights or like 3 nights in a row, asking him to pitch, and I understand that that's a little unfair, especially when his pitch count kind of ran high sometimes. But Tyler Rogers was not really good this season at all. Sam Coonrod, he is stuff, but his location and command is so bad. And the game against the Padres, he blew it against Trent Grisham. Hopefully we can work with him in the offseason and make him find his command, even if it means not throwing as hard. I'm all for that because he's good stuff. The problem is he can't locate, and he got shelled, and he cost us games. He really did. Now the next thing is inconsistency on this Giants team, because we were not consistent at all. There would be games where we would be putting up runs like crazy. Our offense would click. That one game against Colorado, we put like 22 runs on the board or something. It was something insane. I was blown away by how good our offense did. And then we'd be laying goose eggs the next day. It's unacceptable. This is the MLB. You can't just be not scoring runs in like a sixth of your games or just 1 run. It's not going to cut it, especially with our rotation. It's not like we have Tim Lincecum in his prime, Clayton Kershaw in his prime, or anything where if we score 1 run, we could win the game. It's not like that at all. So our offense needs to be more consistent, because it would be so good at times, and then at other times it would just be non-existent. And it just needs to be fixed. We need to be a consistent team. We need to either be consistently good or consistently bad. Now the next negative is Gabe Kapler. Now Kapler did overall, I liked what he did with this Giants team and the season. But still, he had some of these terrible managerial moments this SF Giants season, and I understand where Phillies fans are mad because I saw Kapler make really bad decisions throughout the season. Now, it was primarily in the first half of the season where he was just making stupid decisions. He kept on throwing Trevor Gott out there when he clearly did not have confidence and he could not locate. He threw him out there, Gott blew us like 2 or 3 games, and that cost us a playoff run. People say that 1 baseball game is meaningless. That's not true. 1 baseball game that we would have won earlier because Kapler would not have made a stupid decision. We would be in the playoffs right now, and we would be playing tomorrow. So his bullpen choices were very suspect at times. I did not like him throwing out Tyler Rogers it felt like he threw him out every day. I did not like that. I did not like him throwing Trevor Gott out there when he had no confidence. I did not like him pulling starters early. Remember that game early against the Dodgers where Kevin Gausman threw like one run of baseball? He pulled him, and our bullpen blew it. And he was on a roll. He wasn't even the pitch count. He didn't even have that high of a pitch count. Yeah, so Kepler did work it out throughout the season, but he kind of lost the clubhouse in this last week. And you do have to blame Kepler for some of that. You have to blame him equally just as much as the players because he lost the clubhouse. And some games it looked like we just had no fight, honestly. And there was no sense of urgency to really just score or win this so that we could be into the playoffs. So that does land on him. And that's overall my 2020 Giants season recap. Let me know what you guys think. Are there any more positives and negatives to this Giants season? I've definitely left some things out, but these are just the main things that I thought, or that came to my mind when I thought about the 2020 Giants season. So let me know what you guys think. Comment down below. Please do so. If your team's playing in the playoffs and you're not a Giants fan, good luck to you in this postseason. You deserve it, and best of luck to you. So let me know what you guys think, and I'll see you on the next one.